In a leg yield, we want our horse's legs to cross. Crossing, 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 thinking about my inside leg and my outside rein. Notice how I'm staying really straight. I'm not like leaning to the side or twisting anywhere in my body. So you always want to remember that a leg yield really is about getting your horse yielding to that inside leg. Hello everyone, I'm Amelia. In this video, I'm going to be talking about leg yields made simple. So I'm going to break down how to introduce the leg yield to your horse. Leg yield is something that's not really natural for horses to do, right? Because horses are prey animals, which means that they run away. So for them to go sideways, it can be really hard to teach that to them. It can also be tricky because your leg means to go forward. Like when you're first training a young horse, first and foremost, when your leg goes on, your horse steps forward. But now that your horse is maybe a little more advanced, the next step is to be able to teach them to cross their legs over and to move sideways. And so sometimes it can be tricky to actually get that to happen. So first, I'm going to show you a correct leg yield. I'm going to talk about the aids for the leg yield. And then second, I'm going to show you my special trick to introducing the leg yield from the ground. I always teach my horse how to do leg yields first from the ground. And I'm going to be doing a webinar all about Piaffe Made Simple on Sunday, January 28th. So check out the description box. I just am such a big believer in groundwork because it makes it easier for you and for your horse. So, okay, first of all, the essence of a leg yield is that in a leg yield, we want our horse's legs to cross. Like if you go and you are riding a leg yield for the judge in a test, what they want to see is they want to see the horse's legs are crossing. A leg yield does not have bend. So a leg yield has flexion, meaning that your horse is flexed slightly to the inside, but they do not have bend in the neck. So the aids for a leg yield are inside leg at the girth and outside rein. Those are basically the primary aids for the leg yield. And you can see how when I put those aids on, my horse is crossing his legs over. So you can either do the leg yield from the center line, or you can do the leg yield from the rail like this, flexing my horse a little to the left, crossing, 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 thinking about my inside leg and my outside rein. Notice how I'm staying really straight. I'm not like leaning to the side or twisting anywhere in my body. So you always want to remember that a leg yield really is about getting your horse yielding to that inside leg. So inside leg to outside rein, obviously. Mercurio does these pretty well. We might hit the cone. And you can see he's crossing his legs over. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. So you might be saying, okay, well, that's great. Obviously, Mercurio understands the aids for the leg yield. He does them pretty well. But here's the thing. If you have a horse that doesn't leg yield and like you put your leg on and they just go faster or stiffen or stop, right? All those things happen, then I always recommend teaching it from the ground. So I'm going to get off and show you how to teach it from the ground. All right, so probably my biggest secret is groundwork. It's something that I do with every single horse, and especially teaching the leg yield. Like if you just cannot get your horse to cross over, you can't tell if your horse is crossing over, then get off and do it from the ground, because it's going to be easier for your horse when you're not on their back. It's going to be easier for you because you can actually see when they're moving over. So you're going to have the reins over your horse's head. You're going to get a hold of the reins like you were riding. I do have a dressage whip just to help me get that forward energy. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to get your horse walking forward like this. So first is that he walks forward, And then I'm going to give a little flexion with my left wrist, and I'm going to push into him with my right hand. So you can either like push your knuckles here on your horse's shoulder to get them to move over, or you can lengthen your rein a little more and push with them where your leg would be. If that doesn't work, you can also give them a little poke with the blunt end of your whip. So this is really simulating your inside leg aid when you're on them. So again, here I'm going to flex him a little to the inside. You see me giving him that little poke, and then I'm looking at his legs. So cross, cross, good boy. So what I want to see when I'm doing these leg yields is I want to see that left hind leg stepping over and across. So now forward, 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 forward. Good. Good. Boy. So if your horse is like new to the leg yield, start by just getting a couple of steps. You're not going to do as many as I'm doing here with Mercurio. So like if your horse is new to the leg yield, think over, over, over. Let him go straight for a few steps. And then again, over, 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 over. Good boy. Good boy. And then a boy, a boy. And then of course do your leg yield from both directions, because that's super important. Most horses have an easier time on one side versus the other. So most horses it's more difficult for them from the right. But not only is this good practice for your horse, it's also good practice for you, because you're figuring out when you need to send your horse forward, when you need to flex your horse. You're figuring out how to offer that steady and consistent contact on your outside rein. So half halt, over, 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 over. Good boy. I would so if I'm being very picky here, I'd like him to step a little bit more fluidly sideways. Like you can see how he knows his half steps in hand. So he's almost just like getting a little bit too, I want him to really cross over, 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 over. Good boy, over. There. Good boy. Good boy. So I hope this video gives you some ideas. If you're struggling to introduce the leg yield, definitely get off and do it from the ground. There's also ways that you can break it down even more than I just showed you, like simply by just taking the inside rein and bending your horse around to the inside. But one of the most common mistakes I see with riders is that their horse is always leaning into the right and they can't get their horse off their right leg. And I always say get off and do it from the ground. So I hope you'll come to the webinar on the 28th, and I'm going to be showing you a lot more tips and techniques that I use to pretty much teach everything in the dressage test from the ground. You can teach your horse shoulder in, half pass, and also introducing the Piaffe and the Passage from the ground. It really is a great tool. And we all want to stay safe and enjoy our horses. So it's a great way to be able to communicate with your horse and break things down in a way that they can really understand.